Hi, my name is Guy Hurst, and I'd like to share with you my experience that I had with Dwain Porter's Automatic Comprehensive Reading Program. I took the course some 6-7 months ago from Dwain, and never really considered myself to be a top student of his, but there were some principles that I was able to glean and implement in my reading program that made a huge difference. When I first started reading, taking the program, one of my goals, and one of the things that really enticed me was hearing that Evelyn Wood had read the entire Book of Mormon before going to church every Sunday. I thought, wow, that would be really phenomenal. Probably in large part because I've always considered myself, as well as having been told that I'm a slow reader. Not necessarily a bad reader, but slow. And so I thought it would really be fun to increase my speed. And from taking the course, I was getting some probably typical improvements in my reading ability, and comprehension as well as the speed. But after I started applying it to reading of the Book of Mormon, I found some remarkable results. And I'm not sure exactly why it worked that way, but in my mind, I was having a problem with the width of the text and capturing just at a glance as I went down the page the entire width in my field of view. And it just dawned on me one morning when I was reading the Book of Mormon, well, these are in narrow columns, so that's no longer an issue. So I got my little reading card with the red band across it, and started reading the scriptures in a speed reading fashion. And the field of view was no longer an issue at all, and I found that I could really get some phenomenal speed. And to me at that time, phenomenal speed was I could read the entire Book of Mormon in 12 hours. And that was way faster than I had ever dreamed possible. I thought that was really something. And I noticed the difference in my speed and comprehension. By the time I was finishing that 12 hours, it was a lot faster rate, and I was understanding better. So I figured the 12-hour figure probably wasn't a true indication of how fast I was reading by the time I finished that. So I thought I'd read it again and try employing some of the exercises that we had done in the class, like as you're speed reading through, I had my highlighter, and one of the exercises was every time a name appeared in the Book of Mormon, I would highlight it. And that was fun. I think that read took me 3 hours to read through, highlighting every name that I saw. And you can see in here, they're all in green, because it all happened so fast. And I figured, well, the highlighting slowed me down quite a bit, and I'm still using the card, so I'm juggling the card and my highlighter every time a name appears, and there's hundreds of names in there. So I figured, well, I can read this thing faster than 3 hours if I'm not highlighting. And I was also interested to read the Book of Mormon again and see how many names I missed, just kind of as a comprehension test for myself. The next time I went through looking for names, I found that there were 3 names out of the entire Book of Mormon that I had missed highlighting. So I was pretty excited about that. My accuracy was fairly good. I went through highlighting different things, I think, on 2 more reads, and then the highlighter was just slowing me down. And I found when I would start slowing down that the best way to increase my comprehension was to go faster. It's like a boat plowing through water and never getting up on plane. But once you get up on top of the water, you can go fast and everything smooths out. And that was a real neat feeling, a definite physical feeling that I could feel when I would get the speed up to a certain amount. So every time I would read the Book of Mormon, my speed got faster. When I got it down to an hour, I thought, man, that's great. It gets no better than that. I can now read the Book of Mormon before going to church on Sunday. And besides that, you can't really turn the pages that much faster than that. Well, now if I want to read it fast, I know I can read it in 9 minutes. If I want to read it at a comfortable pace, it'll take me 10 to 12 minutes, depending on what things pop out that particular day. If I want to read it kind of slow and I'm not pushing myself at all and I'm maybe groggy or something like that, it's about a 20-minute read. And I haven't gone back and done it, but what I'd consider an extremely painfully slow read of the Book of Mormon would be about an hour. That would be like dissecting it. So I'm really excited about it. I had hoped to read it a couple hundred times this year. This year alone, I think since January, I've read it 25 times. But I've read the Doctrine and Covenants numerous times, Pearl of Great Price. The last couple days, I read the Old Testament, cover to cover, 2 hours flat. That was kind of fun. And some other books that I've thrown in between. But even with all those distractions, if you will, against that goal of reading the Book of Mormon a couple hundred times, I'll still read it well over 100 times this year. And every time I read it, my comprehension does increase. When I used to be a slow snail reader, my comprehension was never what I'd consider to be 100%. And it's like the slower I would read, probably the less comprehension I'd have. So I'm not saying that I have 100% comprehension right now. It's probably in the 60%, maybe 70% range. But I'm sticking with it, and every time I read it, that comprehension is greater. As far as the comprehension goes, I'm having a lot of fun with just experimenting with this. One thing I don't want to do is I don't want to just memorize the looks of the pages and the highlights that I have and so forth, and then just be flipping through it, not really reading it. So I'm forcing myself to see all the text on every page. So when I say that I am speed reading the Book of Mormon, I'm looking at every word, every letter, all the text, although I'm doing it pretty much in columns now, just almost flashes. And so that's fun. I'm seeing the text every time I go through it, and because of that, I think that's what's forcing me every time I read through it, that more and more is popping out, because it's not just a familiar page, but all the text on the page is more and more familiar. So I don't really anticipate, and I told this to Dwain numerous times. I know when I did the 3-hour read, I thought that was as good as it would get. And when I did 1 hour, I thought, you can't beat that. Half hour, there's no way you can even turn the pages faster. And now it's very comfortable to do 10 minutes. I would guess that's about the limit, but I'm told that there's probably ways to go even faster. So we'll see what happens over the course of the year, but I'm thrilled to be able to read it in 10 minutes and really enjoy the whole thing, cover to cover. It puts it in a different perspective that I was never able to really comprehend before.